In the dead of night, under the oppressive weight of a starless sky, the earth trembled. It was as if the very foundations of the world were being shaken to their core. Lightning split the darkness, illuminating the mountain of Sinai in flashes of blinding white, each bolt a herald of the divine. Thunder rolled across the landscape, a deep and resonant voice that seemed to speak in a language both ancient and terrifying. The people of Israel, encamped at the base of the mountain, felt the ground beneath them quake, and a primal fear gripped their hearts. They knew that something monumental, something beyond their understanding, was about to unfold. The narrative of the giving of the 10 Commandments at Mount Sinai is one of the most pivotal moments in the Hebrew Bible. It is a story that has captivated the imagination of countless generations, a moment of divine revelation that defined the relationship between God and the people of Israel. Yet, the true power of this story lies not just in its dramatic imagery, but in the profound theological and ethical implications that have shaped the foundations of Western civilization. At the heart of the sign I encounter is the image of Mount Sinai itself. The mountain is more than just a physical location. It is a symbol of the meeting point between the divine and the human. The thunder, lightning, and the sound of the ram's horn are not merely natural phenomena, but are imbued with deep symbolic meaning. These elements are drawn from the rich tapestry of ancient Near Eastern mythology, where thunder and lightning were often associated with the power and presence of the sky god. In the Hebrew tradition, these natural wonders are used to convey the awe-inspiring nature of God's presence. The mountain, too, is a common motif in ancient literature, often representing the dwelling place of the gods. The fact that God descends to the mountain and speaks from its summit underscores the idea that this is a moment of direct and personal communication between the divine and the human. The use of the ram's horn, or shofar, adds another layer of symbolism. In ancient times, the shofar was used for a variety of purposes, including calls to war and coronation ceremonies. The fact that it is mentioned here suggests that this moment is both a declaration of divine sovereignty and a call to arms. God is not just speaking to the people. He is also rallying them to a new way of life, a life governed by His commandments. The shofar's sound reverberates through the valley, a sonic reminder of the power and majesty of the divine presence. The commandments themselves are the centerpiece of the narrative. They are not merely a set of rules, but a covenant, a binding agreement between God and the people. The first commandment, "I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery," establishes the basis of this covenant. God is not just any deity. He is the God who has acted in history to liberate the Israelites from bondage. This historical context is crucial because it underscores the idea that the commandments are not arbitrary rules, but are rooted in a specific act of divine grace. The commandments that follow against idolatry, blasphemy, and the desecration of the Sabbath are all designed to protect and preserve this relationship. They are not just laws, but a way of life that reflects the character and will of God. The 10 Commandments are often divided into 2 categories. The first 4, which deal with the relationship between God and humanity, and the last 6, which deal with the relationships between people. This division is not arbitrary. It reflects the holistic nature of the covenant. The commandments are not a checklist of do's and don'ts, but a comprehensive guide to living in harmony with God and with one another. The prohibition against idolatry, for example, is not just a ban on making statues, but a call to reject all forms of false worship, whether they be literal idols or the modern idols of materialism and consumerism. The commandment to keep the Sabbath is not just about taking a day off, but about recognizing that all of life is a gift from God, and that rest and reflection are essential to a life of faith. The commandments against murder, adultery, theft, and false witness are equally important. They are not just about maintaining social order, but about fostering a community where trust, honesty, and mutual respect are the norm. The final commandment against coveting is perhaps the most profound. It is not a command to be content with what one has, but a call to resist the temptation to view others as means to one's own ends. Coveting is the root of all the other sins. It is the desire to take what is not rightfully one's own, whether it be property, status, or even the affection of others. The people's response to the divine revelation is a mixture of awe and fear. They are overwhelmed by the power and majesty of God, and are hesitant to approach the mountain. This fear is not a sign of weakness, but a recognition of the profound gulf that exists between the divine and the human. Moses, as the mediator between God and the people, plays a crucial role in this moment. He is the one who must bridge this gap, conveying the words of God to the people and interceding on their behalf. The fact that God speaks to Moses directly, and that Moses is able to approach the cloud where God is present, underscores the unique role of the prophet in the Hebrew tradition. Moses is not just a messenger, but a leader, a guide, and a teacher, one who is able to interpret the will of God and apply it to the lives of the people. The giving of the 10 Commandments at Mount Sinai is a story that continues to resonate today. It is a reminder that the relationship between God and humanity is not one of distant observation, but of active engagement. The commandments are not just ancient rules, but living principles that can guide us in our lives today. They challenge us to live with integrity, to treat others with respect, and to recognize that all of life is a gift from God. The thunder and lightning may have subsided, but the words of God, spoken on that mountaintop so long ago, continue to echo through the ages, calling us to a life of faith and obedience. In the end, the story of Mount Sinai is a story of hope. It is a reminder that even in the most daunting of circumstances, God is present, and His word can guide us through the darkness. The mountain may tremble, but the covenant endures.